also, I want to dwell in more detail on the announcement by Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif that a final agreed-upon text of what he describes as the peace deal has been reached, and Pakistan is now working closely with both the United States and Iran to finalise the next steps. Peace has never been as close as it is now, the Pakistani Prime Minister writes on X. Let's talk now to Dr. Tallha Abdulrazaq, a Middle East security expert who's joining me this evening here on LBC. Dr. Abdulrazaq, thank you very much indeed for being on the programme. I mean, let's just be clear about what the Pakistani Prime Minister is talking about. He's talking about a possible ceasefire extension, correct? Good evening to you.
Good evening. Yeah, I mean, look, Pakistan's role primarily has been to try to secure an extension to the ceasefire to allow the kind of the wider terms of a long-lasting peace to take place. That's discussions over nuclear material, Iran's ballistic weapons capability. On the Iranian side, they want unfreezing of assets. They want everything to be, ratified by the UN Security Council. So I find it highly unlikely that within, a few weeks, it's been a couple of months now since the ceasefire first took effect in April. We're now in June. I find it highly unlikely that it's a full comprehensive peace agreement. This is likely just a strong stepping stone towards a longer lasting ceasefire to enable that future peace negotiation.
I mean, it clearly can't be the full deal, because President Trump was saying the other day in the White House, just a couple of days ago, that this is I think last night, a memorandum of understanding, a conceptual document. But he was also talking about the possibility of a signing in Europe next week. I mean, that seems pretty, that would be a pretty ambitious timeline, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also we have to bear in mind that President Trump is, prone to hyperbole, shall we say. And, in fact, his bluster is actually starting to backfire a little bit, because he's threatened them so many times. I mean, just a couple of days ago, he was saying, they better play ball, otherwise we're going to bomb the SHIT out of them. And that was reported by Fox News, right? And then within maybe a couple of hours of that, he was like, I've just cancelled yet another bombing strike because we've made more progress on this ceasefire deal and a long-term agreement. So we've had kind of like a revolving door of constantly, threats of bombings, an odd exchange of fire here and there, and then everything calms down in time for the weekend and the market's closing. So there is obviously progress because Pakistan wouldn't have said something, but let's not get too excited.
Okay, and I just want to apologise to any listeners who may have been offended by even spelling out the word that you spelled out. We're not going to do that again. But can I press you on the terms of this agreement? Because this is an agreement that the United States is striking with the Iranian regime. The President of the United States said again yesterday, falsely, regime change has occurred. What message does any kind of deal struck between Washington and Tehran, a country, a capital still in the hands of a revolutionary Islamic government headed by the new supreme leader who is the son of the late old supreme leader, what message is the United States sending to the people of Iran who on the evening of February the 28th, going into March the 1st, Donald Trump was urging to rise up, take control of their country. This is your moment. This is your opportunity. You're never going to get it again.
I mean, it's not just a message to the Iranian people. It's a message to the world that this is not the United States in its kind of the heyday of its power when it invaded Afghanistan and Iraq. We are finished with that era, frankly. And it's those two conflicts that have kind of made the American administration, even the people, just totally lose their appetite for warfare, direct interventions, because, the United States has the military power, if it really wanted to deploy into Iran. It has the overwhelming power to destroy them, quite frankly. But it's not willing to go that far for a number of domestic reasons as well as international concerns. But the message that's being sent loud and clear is that a pariah state like Iran, that's been under sanctions for decades now, as long as it's able to cause such massive chaos and disruption on the international markets, energy markets, which is causing such a reaction that, Trump is kind of regretting what he did. It's quite clear that he's, trying to find any kind of way to extricate himself from this and have an off-ramp that allows him to save face. And the Iranians have actually played this hand quite deftly to cause this kind of chaos, put mud on Trump's face, and to also cause a bit of a fissure between him and Israel, who are obviously the main instigators of this attack against Iran.
And where do you see that?
Everyone. Yeah, sorry.
Where do you see that relationship between President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu going? I mean, there's been so much tension between the two of them and these angry phone calls, but there have been angry phone calls between every single American president that has had to deal with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at various points through their administrations. What are the odds of Israel not doing something to upend this ceasefire extension? But also, what are the odds of the Iranians not doing something to upend this ceasefire extension, especially given that they now know the power of the control that they have over the Strait of Hormuz?
I mean, you've had senior Israeli officials on Twitter, like Israel Katz, for example, coming out and saying that, Trump is leading us down this, this dark path that will allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon, unfreeze its assets, and continue to pose a threat not only to Israel, but to the wider region and the world. So they're clearly not happy. But I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu said it best a couple of days ago when he came out and they asked him about this so-called heated phone call between him and Donald Trump. And he said, even in the best of families, you sometimes have disagreements on tactical decisions, but you can be angry with each other in the morning and then making up and laughing in the evening. Or I'm just paraphrasing him there, but that's more or less what he was saying. They would describe them as a family. And I think that's pretty accurate. The relationship between Israel and America has been extremely close-knit over decades. Where the long-term effect is going to happen is beyond the Trump administration, particularly as the millennials and Gen Zs and whatever, as they grow up and enter into politics into greater force, this is going to start to change American policy over a period of decades. We're not looking at any kind of substantial changes right now as we speak. I don't think that's going to happen.
Dr. Tallha Abdulrazaq, I'm very grateful to you for joining us on the programme tonight. Dr.